Alrighty, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy White Album here, and welcome back to some more Witch on the Holy Night. Last time we stopped halfway through, hopefully, through the honey adventure. So hopefully we can finish this one up today. I just realized my shirt. If you don't know, I have a blue screen, not a green screen. So anything that's any shade of blue is going to pop up. All right, quick load. Yes. So here we go. Let's see if we can get this one finished today. I actually kind of held off this game for a bit. But here we go. Toko sought profit in combat. If a mage she defeated could provide her with profitable materials, she would not take their life. She would even save their life if she knew it would be to her advantage to do so. As a result, her workshop in London had a facility specifically built for the comfort of her magical suppliers. It housed mages who had either lost to her in battle or who had willingly agreed to contribute to her cause. Toko held many magecraft patents, which earned her up to £10,000 a month in royalties. However, the majority of this money went to upkeep that facility. The demands from the residents of the place for additional facilities and special privileges increased with every passing day. It was reaching a point where Toko needed to decide whether to incorporate or just let everyone go and be done with it.
でも、地下ってそういうものじゃないわよ。
I promise, it's nothing nefarious like a evil. It's nothing nefarious or evil like a dungeon.
拷問なんて手間暇かかりすぎるし、娯楽を与える方が管理コストは低いんだってば。
Torture is too much work anyway. It costs less to entertain them.
今はいい脚本揃ってるしね。適当な映画のプロットを拝借して、それを再現するだけで喜んでもらえるし。
There are so many good stories out there these days. I can just steal the plot of something and recreate it to make everyone happy.
仮想であれ現実であれ、自分が主役になれる物語なんて最高じゃない？
Real or fake, everyone wants to be the hero of their own story. Well, you're definitely the villain of yours.
つかぬことをお伺いいたしますけど、上演ジャンルはどのようなバランスで？
Sorry to clear my throat there. Just out of curiosity, what's the ratio of the genres you use?
恋愛3、活劇3、サスペンス3、アニメ 1？
30% romance, 30% action, 30% suspense, 10% cartoons?
は？そりゃ基本ホラーでしょう。エンタメのすべてが詰まってるんだし。
Huh? Basically only horror, actually. Horror films have every element you could ever want. Romance, action, suspense, and cartoons. Would you look at that?
私、トコちゃんのそういうところ素で怖いわ。
You know, that was always the part of you that scared me the most.
というか、女の子なんだからもっとロマンを求めてほしいの。
You're a girl. You should be more into romance instead of that kind of stuff.
今回捕まえる候補に上がっている人間に言われると、さすがに考慮せざるを得ない。
I guess it's something I should consider if one of my potential targets says as much.
囚人を放り込む箱庭のバランスに気を使ってみればいいの？ホラー8ぐらい？
Let's see. How does 80% horror sound for the balance of the virtual worlds I'll throw my prisoners into?
恋愛9でお願いします。それがダメなら推理9でぜひ。
90% romance. Come on, please. If not romance, do 90% mystery. I have no clue what the fuck's happening. Oh shit.
了解。
I accidentally
そう
skipped
い
that
う
one.
事態になったら善処する。
Very well. If that situation should ever arise, I'll try to accommodate you.
はーい。そういう事態ってどんな事態？
Yes. Wait, what situation?
誰かの味方をするのはいいけど、私の敵に回った時かな。あと、今日のことを口外した瞬間、足元からパクッといくから気をつけて。
It's fine if you're friends with you know who, but I'm talking about if you ever become my enemy. Also, if you tell anyone about our conversation today, I'll snap you up from below before you can even blink.
え？足元って影のこと？
Huh? From below? Like out of my shadow?
あれ、そもそもなんていうか、トコちゃん。
But more important than that, Toko,
私一歩も動けないんだけど。
I can't move an inch.
ごめんなさい、リツカ。実は1週間かけてあなたの部屋に罠を仕掛けてたの。
Sorry, Ritsuka, but I actually spent a week setting up a trap in your place.
ドアの境界に影で作った使い魔を仕込ませたみたいな。しばらくはあなたの影に住み着いているから、私に不利な証言したら大変だぞ。
I made a familiar out of a shadow and put it in your doorway. It's going to be living in your shadow for a while, so try not to say anything to inconvenience me, okay? Heart emoji.
私すでに大変だったのか。
You mean I've been in a pickle all along?
悪魔、人でなし、天才悪魔。トコちゃんはもう少し一般常識を学ぶべきです。もう道理で夜な夜な泥棒さんがピッキングしてると思った。
Toko, you devil! You brute! You devil brute! You need to learn some common sense. I knew I heard something the other night. I just thought it was a thief trying to pick my lock. Aren't you a fucking mage? You should be able to like destroy this guy, so. Ritsuka hadn't noticed the shadow familiar, but she had sensed Toko as she was setting her trap late at night. Toko didn't think Ritsuka could speak about common sense, since she had ignored an apparent burglar trying to break into her home for a week.
その使い魔、年明けには解けるから安心なさい。
Don't worry, the familiar will disintegrate at the beginning of the new year.
じゃあね、リツカ。縁があったらまた会いましょう。その時は自慢のコーヒーをご馳走してね。
See you around, Ritsuka. Hopefully we'll meet again. I'll take you up on that coffee of yours then for sure.
ああ、あと深夜販売の商品だってバカにできたもんじゃないわ。あのシンプルさ、結構好きよ、私。
Also, I didn't mean to insult you by comparing you to an infomercial product. You live a simple life. I like that. Toko winked at her old friend and left the apartment behind her. Hopefully we'll meet again. That's going to be a big no. Toko realized those were empty words. Her plan would not spare her mortal body. Be it a success or be it a failure, Toko Ozaki would be erased from this world. Still, there was no reason not to at least say something about meeting again. Perhaps Toko had more affection for Ritsuka than she realized. Even so, she left that friend behind in a state of paralysis. Toko had indeed returned home. That fact alone revealed much to Ritsuka. 2 years older than Toko, Ritsuka had been contracted 10 years prior to monitor Toko's grandfather, the mage who discovered the fifth magic. They made her both Toko and Aoko Senior, and she knew the sisters rather well.
そりゃ口止めの一つもしないとね。
She gotta keep a few. What? She's gotta keep a few of us from talking then.
トコちゃんを見て真っ先に警戒するのは私と。
Ooh, yeah, a little bit of water on me. The first people to be on alert upon seeing Toko would be myself and one other person. Another with more seniority than the Ozaki sisters in the truest sense. There was one other beautiful person who had taught Toko. I'm assuming it's what's her name? You? I don't remember.
ま、そっちはそっちで根回ししてるかな。
I'm sure she's probably got that handled though.
トコちゃんならそのあたり完璧だろうけど。
She's not the one to look over something like that.
もうちょっと敵には非常になった方がいいわよね。トコちゃんは相手の人権を尊重しすぎっていうか、根本が甘いっていうか。
Toko should really learn to be more cold toward her enemies though. She's too soft on them, thinks too much of their human rights.
殺すと決めた相手に顔を見せるとか、どうかと思うの、私。
I don't know how I feel about her showing her face to someone she's decided to kill. Toko was a researcher more than she was a mage. Generally, she wasn't a fighter. She was cruel, but not cold. Despite her capability for vicious, ruthless treatment of people, she also displayed a measure of compassion for others. Ritsuka sighed as if the problem were her own, and hoped that inconsistency would not end up hurting Toko. Toko left the neighborhood and began heading toward the largest park in the town. It was 3 in the afternoon on this early winter day on the boulevard. If it were autumn, the street would be lined with people out for a walk to look at the colorful trees. But now, Toko was alone. Though to be accurate, she wasn't quite alone. Bale was walking along the grass more than 10 yards behind his employer, when he noticed a change in her scent.
トウコさん、こんな街中でメガネ外してる？
Are you really not wearing your glasses out here, Toko? Toko's personality changed significantly depending on whether or not she was wearing her glasses, like Aizen. Bale wasn't sure which side of her was her true self, but he did know that she was much more serious and cruel without her glasses. It wasn't quite the level of a split personality, more like a reordering of priorities. She merely took her glasses off when she was about to fight someone. Doing so made her less human. It pushed all senses of compromise, concern, and sympathy out of her brain.
ってことは、さっきから近づいてくる匂いはトウコさんの敵なんだけど。
That must mean the scent getting closer is of her enemy, I think. Bayo furrowed his brow as he hid behind a tree. He could certainly smell hostility and anticipation emitting from Toko, but at the same time, he could not help but scrunch up his nose at the strange scent that kept getting stronger. Hey, the priest. I already forgot his name. Hello. I just happened to be out for a walk. What a coincidence meeting you out here, Toko.
ああ、たまたま続いた偶然だ。世間話をする仲でもなし、挨拶を交わす程度に済ませよう。
Ah, yes. What a coincidence indeed. We're not the sort to stop and chat, so let's just keep this to formalities, shall we? Bayo had no idea who was talking to Toko. Oh, yeah, Eri, that's what his name was Eri. What the hell? Fumitsuka? Did we ever see his full name in the, I know they just call him Father Eri in the main story. He was a priest of Ada Church and an enemy to Bayo and Toko. However, it was impossible for Bayo to sense this. He had no personal hostility toward the clergy anyway. As far as Bayo could tell, he was just a regular person. There was no chance that Toko could be at a disadvantage here. He would later learn a harsh lesson from someone who seemed seemingly harmless. But that was a tale for another time. Hey, they're referencing when he got fucking Falcon punched in the chest by Sojiro.
そちらの状況はどうなんだ？神の家は働き者揃いだからな。利権を漁りに来る欲深は現れそうか？
So, how are things going with you? God's house must be full of hard workers. Any greedy trolls show up hungry for concessions?
いや、働き者というのは全力で肯定しますけど、欲が深いとか、そんな人は少ないですよ、こちらは。
I can agree on the hard workers part, but greed is not a problem in our organization.
彼らがやってくるときは、大抵は競技のためですから、欲望より責務で動く人たちって怖くないですか？
Anyone who come to us usually do so on the basis of doctrine, nothing more. Don't people driven by duty rather than greed frighten you more?
無駄話はしないと言っただろう。
I thought I said we weren't going to waste time on small talk.
結論を言え。お前の腰巾着は鐘を鳴らしそうか？
Just cut to the chase. Is your follower going to sound the bell or not?
やれやれ。人のことは言えませんよ。トウコさんだってワーカホリック寸前じゃないですか。
My. You're one to talk. You're very nearly a workaholic yourself, Toko.
もっとこう、余裕のあるコミュニケーションを取りませんか？立場上、いつ最後の仰せになるかわからないわけですし。
You mean to tell me you don't have time for a little conversation? After all, this might be the last time we ever see each other again.
ふざけろ。いつも何もこれが最後だよ、エリ。
Please. This is the last time and you know it. Toko curtly rejected the smiling priestess request for a chat. She was being as blunt as she could.
だいたい次があるとしたら、その時は殺し合いだろう。
If we were ever going to meet again, I'm certain it would be only in a fight to the death.
お互い手の内は知っているしな。顔を合わせた瞬間、どちらかが死んでいる。
We
会
both
話な
know
んぞしている暇があるか。
we both know each other's intentions. One of us would be dead the moment we laid eyes on each other. There's no moment, or there's no time for idle chit-chat.
それはトウコさんだけの思い込みですけどね。
That's just what happened. That's just what you happen to think, Toko.
どうしてこう邪魔者は始末するという方向でしか物事を考えられないんでしょうか、あなたたちは。
Why is it that you people can only think about eradicating whoever stands in your way? Harry shrugged his shoulders in frustration. Toko kept her gaze fixed intently on his overcoat. No matter how many times he had said he wanted to resolve this peacefully, she would bet her pride that he didn't mean it.
まったく
He just fucking pulls out a
そうい
fucking
うところも
magnum,
成長して帰ってくるんですから。
blasts her in the
育
chest
つ
with
の
a
は女
fucking,
性としての魅力だけにとど
or
め
just
て
a
おいてほ
round
しい
to
もの
the
です。
heart. See, this is what happens when one goes out, experiences the world, and returns to their home. I would have liked if you had worked on your personal charm instead.
ああ、そう睨まない。本題に入りますから。
Oh, come on. Don't glare at me like that. I'm getting to the point.
目下、教会への報告は私が一任されています。司祭への報告は、現在、管理者は異端者と交戦中、中立の条約に基づき、司祭代理権限で監督中。なお、異端者の所属は不明。現在履歴を調査中。といったところです。
I'm entrusted with all reports to the church. My report is now. The second owner is currently in battle with a heretic. I am monitoring them under my authority as a priest, in accordance with the neutrality agreement. The affiliation of the heretic is unknown, and I am investigating their history.
この町に現れた魔術師は所属不明ということになっているんだな。
So you're telling me that the church is still unaware of the affiliation of the mage who appeared in town? Wait, so is she not the mage that they were talking about in the main story? Or did she show up a little bit at, because supposedly there was like the puppet master, and I guess they never figured who that was? But no, because we found out that she was the one that built the Aoko puppet. Okay. I mean, you gotta remember this is also like in between the stories, so.
ええ。シスターユイカは私とは別所轄の方ですが、彼女は異端者の攻防はおろか、その姿さえつかめていません。
Right. Sister Yuka reports to a different jurisdiction from my own, but she has not even seen the heretic, let alone uncover their workshop. Well, to be fair, she is blind, so I don't think she could see them in the first place.
彼女が単独で敵の正体を暴くまで、教会から横槍が入ることはないんじゃないですかね。
There will most likely be no interference from the church until she is able to reveal who our enemy is.
今まで通り、土地を狙いに来た馬術師同士の小競り合いだと思っているんじゃないですか。
Perhaps they're thinking it's a small turf war between mages who just come to town.
そうか。では取引成立だな。
I see. So we do have a deal.
お前が私の帰国の剣を握りつぶしている間は、私も多少回り道をする。青崎の親戚筋にも手は出さない。
As long as you're the only one who knows I'm back in town, I'll lay low. I also won't get in contact with any of my blood relatives.
よか
To
っ
be fair,
た。
you're trying to kill
ト
them.
ウコさんは無差別な破壊工作はしませんが、とにかく最適な道筋を好みますから。
Very well. I know you're not the type to sabotage things indiscriminately, and that you prefer to do things as efficiently as possible.
勢い、どこぞの工場とか、オフィスビルとか、秘密基地にしそうでしょ。
You might get carried away and try to make your secret hideout in some factory or office building somewhere, right?
私がこちらに赴任している間、流血事件が続くと困るというか、私の評価が落ちるようなことは何とも。
I wouldn't allow bloodshed to continue on my watch of this jurisdiction, or anything else that might hurt my reputation. Toko had to resist the urge to object and ask what kind of person he thought she was. She did hate wastefulness, but she wasn't about to entirely abandon society and its norms just for the sake of doing things optimally. Besides, criminal activities were always a pain to clean up later, and thus far more inefficient.
まあいいさ。お互いの利益が一致したんだからな。
I guess that's fine. We're both coming out ahead here. We're both coming out ahead here.
では、あとはことが済むまで生還を決め込んでおけ。
Just keep watch until things are settled.
もうお帰りですか。名残惜しいですね。
Oh, leaving so soon?
結局一度も今のあなたの素顔を見られなかった。
I haven't had the chance to fully appreciate what you look like now. That's a little creepy.
私は逆だ。そのカマキリ面もこれで見納めかと思うと、せいせいする。
I feel the opposite. I hope this is the last time I ever lay eyes on you again.
ああ、待ってください。お別れの前に一つ質問を。
Ah, wait. Before you go, let me ask you one thing. Harry spoke just as Toko was about to take a step back. He had effortlessly stopped her from leaving.
所感なのですが。
This is the last thing I'll say.
トウコさん、今、大変息苦しくはありませんか？
You look uneasy, Toko. Are you feeling stifled here?
まさか。私はかつてないほど充実しているよ。
That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm feeling more fulfilled than ever.
なぜそんなことを聞く、エイリ？
Why do you ask, Ari?
いえ、だって楽しそうではありますが、幸せそうではありませんので、あなた自身気づいてはいないようでしたから、知己として心配になったのです。
You look like you're having fun, but also like you're not truly happy. I was just worried because it seems like you don't even realize it yourself.
幸せの定義か。思い出したよ。お前の口癖だったな、それは。幸せの形は人それぞれだと。
I remember you used to say that everyone finds happiness in different things.
全くその通りだ。私の良しとする幸福が他人であるお前にわかるものか。つまらん心配はするな。
But you don't know me, so don't pretend to know what makes me happy.
いや、そりゃ細かいところまではわかりませんけどね。特に女の人の幸福感なんて、それこそ危機快快ですから。
Well, of course I don't know down to the fine details. Women in particular have a notoriously bizarre concept of happiness.
ですがほら、幸福の形は2つに大別できます。
But happiness can easily be categorized into two major types.
トウコさんの場合、それすら気づいていないようですから、大変見苦しいなと思いまして。
It seems you haven't figured that out yet, and it's just hard to watch.
ほう。ご忠告痛み入る。腐っても兄弟子というわけか。
Oh? I'm greatly obliged for the concern. Still insist on playing senior apprentice, eh?
いいぞ。聞いてやるから言ってみろ。
Fine. I'll listen. Let's see what you have to say. If it happened to be something worthless, she would kill him. If it erased all the progress she had made on her plans to over the past month, or even the last 2 years, she would kill him. Toko's hostility had clearly turned to murderous rage.
当たり前のことですよ。
It's quite obvious, really.
相対的なものと絶対的なもの。比べる相手がいるかいないかが幸福の違いです。
The two types of happiness are relative and absolute. It depends on whether you compare yourself to others or not.
自分が穏やかであれば幸福なのか、それとも。
You're either happy because you yourself are at peace, or
どんなに満ち足りていても人より劣っていては我慢できない人間なのか。
you're the type of person who can't stand it if you have less than someone else, even if you're otherwise fulfilled.
幸福の定義なんて詰まるところはその2つですよ。
The definition of happiness basically comes down to that.
私が言うまでもありませんが、多くの人間はただ人より少しだけ幸せでありたいのです。
I know it goes without me saying, but most people want to be happier than those around them. God damn, I just breathed in and fucking phlegm just hit me in the back of the throat really bad. I hope I'm not getting sick, because I would generally be annoyed at that. The holy man smiled calmly, wrapped in his shadowy black clothing. Toko remembered clearly now. This was a man who actually didn't believe in the true concept of happiness.
ほら、そんな殺気は収めて、シスターユイカが飛んできます。
Come now, calm yourself. If you try anything, Sister Yuko will be here in a flash.
トウコさんの幸福感は絶対的なもの。あなたは自分が確かであれば満ち足りるタイプの人だったんですけどね。
I know that your idea of happiness is not relative. You were always the type to be satisfied as long as you stayed true to yourself.
他人が気になるなんて、そんな相対的な幸福感を持っているのは、
The only Aozaki I know who has a relative definition of happiness is... He stopped himself before he could say Aoko. The priest seemed to have spoken out of genuine concern for Toko, but his words had the opposite effect on her. Although he was reluctant to part on such ill terms, Eri knew it was best not to anger Toko any further.
言葉が過ぎました。お許しを、ハイマスター。
I've said too much. Please forgive me, Puppet Master.
それでは私はこれで、あなたたちにとっていい結果になることを祈っています。
I will take my leave now. I pray that you will see a good outcome in your endeavors.
さっさと消えろ、極つぶし。最後まで陰気臭い真似をしやがって。
Good. Get lost. Your gloomy and dismal act isn't helping my mood.
だいたいその服装どうなんだ？街中でマントなんて羽織って敬遠されないのか？
What's up with your outfit anyways? Don't people avoid you wearing a cloak like that around town?
皆さんもう慣れてくださいましたから。
Everyone is very much used to it by now.
それに、ほら、この格好だと獲物を刺していてもバレないでしょ？
Damn. Besides, how else can I carry a weapon without people noticing? That's savage, dog. Hold on. That's savage. My man's got the fucking toolie underneath that fucking coat right now, ready to light her up like a 1930s mobster, dude.
まあ、トウコさんには見抜かれてしまいましたが、相手があなたですからね。恥ずかしながら長物を3本ほどこっそり。
I'm sure it was glaringly obvious to you, but I have about 3 on me right now. Damn, he's got 3 toolies on him? Oh, her face. She was shocked for that little revelation. Eri turned and walked back into the direction he came from with a smile still on his face.
ふざけやがって。こっちは1本、それも担当ぐらいにしか見抜けなかった。
What a joke. I only saw 1, and it was just a small dagger.
そもそも3本ってなんだ？魔術師でもないくせにどうやったら隠せるんだ？あのバカ、手品師にくら替えしたわけじゃあるまいな。
How would he hide 3 anyway? He's not even a mage. Is he some kind of street magician now or something? Well, I'm assuming it's the church, right? Considering the entirety of the Nashu verse is somewhat connected. At least, you know, just going off what I've seen and read. Would it make sense that he's from the same church that Ciel is from? Because she's an executioner, so if he's talking about 3 and she only sees a dagger, could he be using the black keys? Is that something? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's generally the case. I mean, it could be, but I mean, that's just a thought. Is he from the same church that CL is from? Because that'd be cool, I guess. Get to see like I mean, then again, I think lore wise, isn't fucking CL like old as shit technically though, even though she's a teenager. Like, isn't she also from like the 1980s? Again, from what I've read and from what I know, that she's like, it was like around the 80s where she got possessed by Roa, and then it's like I maybe I don't know if it's the early 2000s that Tsukihime is set up in, because all I know is that she, I think, quote unquote, dies. They seal up Roa and then she's like alive again somehow. Again, I could just be misremembering this completely. But that'd be cool if they're from like the same like church like organization, because that's like, you know, I think that's what I think Toko's like, what the fuck, he only has the dagger, I don't see the other three. So could it be that, something like that? Even though, yeah, because I mean, in Tsukihime, CL is an executioner, so she kind of uses like seals and shit like that, especially when she goes into like her like fucking into her like armored mode, her power mode, which is pretty crazy. But enough rambling, let's get back on it. Again, just a thought. It'd be cool if that's the case. I don't know, only the real Nasu fans are gonna know that, not me. So if you do know, hey, feel free to comment down below if I kind of had that in the right direction. All right, here we go. Toko muttered to herself as she thought back over the man who had stood before her just moments ago. She truly hated the fact that he had the upper hand on her, but she still also felt a bit relieved. If she had actually noticed how heavily armed he was during that brief conversation, it could have been enough to instantly set off a fight. Toko wasn't sure which of them would come out the victor if that happened. Eri had been that kind of man for as long as she had known him. He didn't need a reason, or even an opponent to fight, nor did he need any kind of connection or hatred. He was just a machine that simply needed an ignition. He was murder incarnate, with no qualms about cutting someone down. Toko only seen that side of him once. It was back when she was still a relatively happy disciple of magecraft. Toko had been standing quietly before her grandfather, crying. The instant her first tears fell, without warning, without hesitation, Eri cut down their master in an instant. What have you done? Why did you just kill him like that? Because I thought I could. Eri cannot fathom how much this curt response would affect such a young Toko. He had not meant to say, my opponent showed a moment of weakness, and I knew I could win, so I took the opportunity. All he meant was, I felt capable of killing him, so I did. This man had become her grandfather's disciple, forged an unrivaled friendship with him, and yet still had mercilessly cut him down when the desire arose. He possessed some sort of superhuman ability that allowed him to destroy the mortal vessel of a mage who had been infinitely close to being a magician. Ugh, this is also fishy and a pain. I'll have to kill him since he annoys me. But that's just one more thing to do after stealing the magic. Damn it, Eri. Toko put her glasses back on and turned her heel. She had completed all her major tasks for the day. All that was left to make some money to buy food for her familiar and head home to the hideout. Wait. What was with that sudden romantic mood? Setting aside Bayo's mental shout of dismay for a moment, the scent had been bothering him for the past few days had suddenly disappeared. His employer went back to being the old Toko Alzaki he knew, and she was headed to the entertainment district. Bayo sniffed at the air. The scent had vanished, and he had no longer had a reason to continue Sorry. He had no reason to continue tailing Toko. But where had it gone? And where had it come from in the first place? Bayo thought about it for a few minutes. It must have been that shady guy just earlier. Bayo regained his composure and decided to follow the trail of the man's scent. He had no idea that where he was going was his employer's worst nightmare. The church. Ida Church was set up to accept visitors at any time of the day, any day of the year. The church was the savior of the lost and the poor, and had recently even ventured into the wedding industry for some extra income. It was closely involved with the public welfare of Misaki City, and was doing fairly well for itself in that regard. However, there was one problem. Father Airy is still not in. Ritsuka is boycotting the church, and we're losing volunteers with each passing day. I'm the only one working here at this point. Even if they're... What? No! Take me back. There we go. I didn't mean to go... Damn, I didn't mean to go back that far. Come on. There we go. Okay, there we go. Back to the scheduled programming. Even if their financial situation was stable, they seemed to be chronically understaffed. There we go. The people of the city lack faith. What sort of life is spent demanding money in exchange for labor? Days spent chasing after material desires can only lead to a life of hollow wealth and mental poverty. The nun muttered to herself quietly as she picked up the stepladder with one hand. Although it was a proper stepladder they used for cleaning the church windows, it weighed too much to be carried by even two strong adults. The mass didn't seem to faze her. The desolation of the hearts and minds of our flock is a concern, but we mustn't forget the increasing cost of living. There are whispers of impending sales tax, and Father Airy must be convinced of the great results we achieved in a single day if we hold more wedding ceremonies. He'll go out of his way to help anyone and everyone, but won't think about the work that comes after that. What is he going to do about all the stray cats in the back garden? Alright, that and any other physical labor always falls to me, doesn't it? This nun mumbling to herself at a near constant pace was Sister Yuka Seuss. There was a reason for her unusual behavior. Yuka was completely blind and had honed her other senses to keenly perceive her surroundings. She was extremely sensitive to the presence of living creatures, particularly humans, and could detect when someone was within a radius of 30 feet. The reason why she was talking to herself so openly now was because she did not sense anyone near. I love it. I love it. She's like, well, there's nobody here. I'm just gonna vent.
今日の余り物はと。ああ、もらい物でジャムの詰め合わせがありましたね。
Let's see. What other leftover food do we have? Ah, there's a set of assorted jams we received as a gift.
どうなのでしょう、主よ。猫って2日経った岩のように硬いパンでもペーストすればいける口なんでしょうか。玉ねぎだけは出すなとリツカが言っていた気がしますが。
Oh, what shall we do, my lord? Can a cat eat 2-day-old bread that's rock hard? Ritsuka was clear about not giving them onions, if I remember correctly. Sister Yuka was busy putting away the cleaning tools while simultaneously trying to prepare dinner for the hungry animals mewing in the backyard or in the back garden. When suddenly,
おや、新しい迷子ですか？
oh, do we have a new lost child among us? Sister Yuka suddenly sensed the presence of a small dog in the church.
ごめんなさい。今日は猫限定の日なの。君が混ざってしまったら猫どもが驚くわ。
I'm sorry, little one, but today is for cats only. If I throw you in with that bunch, they'll be too surprised to eat.
餌ならここで恵んであげますから、中に入るのはまた今度にしてくださいね。それ以上入ったら、向かいの家の屋根あたりまでご退場願いますよ。
I'll give you some food, but you have to wait until next time to come inside. We can't be taking any more animals tonight. She put her foot in front of the small brown dog to stop him from coming any further inside the church's gate. Yuka was somewhat rougher in her treatment of non-human creatures.
何この神気臭い生き物。
What is this irritating creature? Bale, who convinced himself to transform into a small dog instead of a wolf, like he really wanted to, only saw Sister Yuko as an obstacle in his way. He could smell the scent of the man in black ahead, further inside. Bale thought little of humans, and in this moment Sister Yuka was simply an obstacle. So naturally, he ignored her warnings and attempted to push through the gate.
なんでしょう、この色。
What is this color?
この子、すごい色していますけど、もしかして高級な品種なのでしょうか。だとしたら。
This dog is a most unusual color. Perhaps it's a rare exotic breed, in which case, he might be some wealthy person's pet. Since the dog came to the church, its rich owner might also attend church services. Yuka stopped trying to push the dog away from the gate.
ごめんなさいね。エイリ神父が目当てなんでしょうけど、また出かけてしまったの。今日一番の餌をあげますから、おとなしく帰ってくださいませ。
I'm sorry. I'm sure you're here to see Father Airy, but he's still out at the moment. I'll give you the best food we have today if you just run along home, okay?
ああ、もう邪魔。この神気臭い人。よし、周りに誰もいないし、首を噛み折ろ。
What an annoying, irritating woman. Perfect. Nobody's around. I'll just go for her throat. Bale's front legs stopped suddenly before he could launch himself at Sister Yuka. Pop. Sister Yuka opened the lid of a bottle she held and poured out glimmering liquid in a small dish. She set it down in front of the dog.
ほら、お食べ。
Here you go. Eat up. The mysterious unknown liquid sat in front of Bayo. It smelled nothing like he'd ever smelled before. Bayo was known to let curiosity get the best of him. Even if it was poison, no poison of the natural world could harm him. He lapped up a mouthful.
何？
What? He lapped up a little more.
この
Is this? He lapped up even more.
味。
Flavor. He lapped up more and more.
おや、牛乳を飲むような舐めっぷり。犬ながら惚れ惚れします。
My, you're lapping it up like it was milk. I think I might actually like you, even though you're a dog.
これ、もっと欲しい。
I want more. What the fuck is it? The church became filled with the echoes of Bayo's boisterous barking. At this point, he had completely forgotten about the man's scent.
甘いですか？私も感動しました。犬どもにも甘味をたしなむ心があるのですね。
It's sweet and delicious, isn't it? I'm impressed. I didn't know dogs could have such a sweet tooth. What the fuck did she give him? Juice? Did she give him juice? That'd be crazy. I don't think you should be giving. I don't know. Maybe it's okay, but I give my dog water like normal people do.
甘い。これが甘いってこと？
Sweet? Is this what sweet tastes like? Bale looked up at Sister Yuka as she whispered to him. He had a feeling that he had a feeling that sweet was an important word he should remember. This food sent a sensation through him that was like a flash of lightning. Until this point, eating food had been nothing more than a process of refueling. He liked hamburgers, but that never amounted to more than a preference for a particular mouthfeel. He only ate because he needed the nutrition. But this was different. This food was not necessary to his survival. And yet, he knew he wanted more. He didn't really need it, but it made him feel good. It was like food for his soul rather than his body. That's just food in general, man.
そもそもこの匂いって。
Wait, isn't this smell... He stopped wagging his tail. The golden wolf in the form of a small dog sat with the food that was the very origin of his name in front of him. Beowulf was faced with a difficult problem he was unable to solve. What? With the food that was the very origin of his name in front of him? I've never fucking heard of food named Beowulf, if that's a thing. I'll look that up. I'll look that up after this. What the fuck was it? I'm just gonna say it was juice. Motherfucker had apple juice. That's what that shit was. Like, apple juice is great. All right, it's better than orange juice. Fight me. Look, I know I'm from Florida, and orange juice is our thing. Apple juice is superior. Okay, let's be honest. I'm home.
はい。
Oh,
おかえりなさい、ベオくん。
welcome back, Bayo.
遅いお帰りにお姉さん心配しちゃった。こんな時間まで無断外出とか心配したぞ。教育係兼飼い主としてバッグを
I hope I'm
し
not
な
getting
くちゃ
sick,
いけ
man.
ないか
I
ら、
would genuinely fucking
そこ
suck.
に正座。
I was worried about you. It's late. As your trainer and master, I had to punish you for staying out so late without checking in with me. Kneel right here. Bale transformed back into his human form and returned to the workshop. Toko was waiting there for him with a big, strange smile on her face.
あ、そうか。
Right. Bale knew he had messed up. He had failed to get back home before Toko because of Sister Yuka.
正座は嫌です。
Oh, do I really need to kneel in the corner?
そりゃ無断で外に出てたけど、誰にも見つかってないし、別に僕悪いことしてないし。
I was out late, but nobody saw me. I wasn't doing anything bad.
誰にも見つかっていない？
Are you sure nobody saw you?
ってことはベオくん、裏山で遊んでたの？
Were you out playing in the mountains?
裏山じゃなくて町。気づかなかったでしょ。実はトウコさんを尾行していただけなのです。
No, I was in town, but nobody noticed me. I'm sure of it. I was actually following you. Toko froze at Bayo's completely unexpected response. But she was used to him by now. She just sighed and rubbed her head, now throbbing from a terrible headache.
いいでしょう。見つからなければいたずらじゃないと教えたのは私だしね。主人の尾行禁止とは命令していなかったし。今回の尾行については不問に付します。
Fine. I suppose I was the one who taught you that nothing's bad, as long as you don't get caught. I never explicitly told you that you couldn't follow me, so I'll let this one slide.
でも、どうやって人目を避けたの？その格好だったらさすがに気づくと思うんだけど、私。
But how did you avoid being noticed? I'm pretty sure you would have drawn attention to yourself in that form.
そこは企業秘密です。教えたら今日みたいな瞳子さんもう見れなくなっちゃうし。楽しそうだったよね、あの人と。
That's my trade secret. If I told you, then I won't be able to see you like I did today. You look like you were really having fun with that person. Tucker's response was both honest and out of character. Even Bale was surprised at how taken aback she was by his statement.
それは違う。どんな勘違いをしたのか知らないけど、あれはただの交渉よ。教会の神父相手に町を人質に見立てて不干渉を念押ししただけで。
That wasn't fun. I don't know what kind of weird idea you got from that, but it was a negotiation. I was simply holding the entire town hostage to keep him from interfering as a priest of the church, and...
いや、楽しそうに見えたのは女の人の方だけど。
Well, I was actually talking about the girl.
あの全身ぐるぐる巻きに自分を縛ってた方。
The one you left unable to move? Woman and wolf stared at each other for a silent moment. But Bale looked satisfied with him and his secret information. With himself, there you go.
つまり、あれって瞳子さんのつがい?
But I guess that means that guy's your mate, right? Toko nearly choked at the utterly fearless question. The puppet master wordlessly removed her glasses and tamped down her emotions. I've never heard of that word.
なんでそんな言葉だけ知ってるんだお前は。耳戸島にも程があるぞ。
Tell me, Bayo, what would you even know that word? There's no reason for you to know about such things. Well, he's an animal.
生き物として普通の言葉じゃない。
What did I say? The fuck? Or is she dumb or is she stupid? Why wouldn't I? It's a word all creatures are familiar with.
まあ、瞳子さんが普通の生き物だとは思っていなかったから、僕としても意外だけど。
Granted, I never thought of you as a normal creature, so I'm a little surprised myself.
それで、どうなの？あのパッとしないポテトみたいなオス、何？
Anyway, who is that plain potato head looking guy anyway? Bayo was suddenly irritated. He was irritated, but he couldn't figure out why.
何も何も、お前の言う通り、しなびたフライドポテトだよ。少なくとも私にとってはね。気にする価値もないし、食べたくなるような魅力もない。
He's literally nothing. To me, anyway. Your assessment is correct. He isn't worth thinking about, and he's not even good enough for you to eat.
本当？ただの敵？瞳子さんにとって特別なのは僕だけ？
Really? He's just an enemy. And I'm the only a special person in your life?
ああ、今のところはね。
For the time being, yes.
焼けぼっくいに火がつくかとも思ったが、完全にしけっていた。あれを前にしてどうこう思うのは、もう二度とないだろうさ。
I thought I might rekindle something, but there was nothing absolutely there. Absolutely nothing there. I don't think I'll ever think about him like that again.
そっか。なんでもないならもう忘れることにします。でも、焼けぼっくいって何？
Alright then. If that's the case, then I'll forget about it. Say, what do you mean by rekindle anyway?
思い出を蒸し返して前後不覚に陥ること。
It's just when you think you can make a relationship like it was in the past.
まあ、その可能性だって少しはあったと思うよ。あんなんでも私の初恋の相手のようだし。
I mean, I guess there was a slight chance of that happening. He was my first love after all. Bayo had no first-hand experience with love, but he at least understood the concept of a first love.
初恋って瞳子さんに？
You had a first love?
つがいはありで初恋はなしとか、どれだけ私を動物的に見ているんだお前は。
I'm not sure why you think a mate is more believable than a first love.
昔の話だよ。私が10代になったばかりで、あれが祖父の弟子だった頃の話だ。奴は魔術ではなく、精神修行の一環として祖父と付き合っていたが。
It was a long time ago. I was still a teenager, and he had just started studying under my grandfather. He wasn't studying magecraft. He was just training under him to hone his mind. Toko spoke indifferently, and it was clear from the look on her face that there was no longer any attachment there. Yet, there was still a tenderness in her words that caused Bale to furrow his brow.
トウコさん、まだ好きなわけ?
Miss Toko, do you still like him?
いや、自分でも呆れるぐらい何もなかった。
No. I was surprised at how little I felt for him.
ただ青春の幻影というのかな。そういう頃の象徴のような知人とは話すだけで懐かしいものなんだよ。
There's just this remnant of my adolescence there. Just talking to people I know from that time takes me back, you know?
人間的には全く魅力を感じなくなったが、奴と話しているだけで、こう、昔の自分を思い返して笑いたくなる。
I'm not attracted to him at all anymore as a person. But when I talk to him, I remember that past version of myself so clearly it makes me want to smile. Bale grew only more confused as Toko spoke with such passion. He couldn't wrap his head around the concept that she hated him yet somehow also still liked him.
そういうの、僕わかんないな。
Yeah, I don't get it.
お前には好き嫌いがないからな。ロジックだけじゃ人の関係は解けないよ。
That's because you don't have any likes or dislikes. Sometimes you can't use logic to understand human relationships.
そんなのあります。食べ物だって襟好みするじゃんか、僕。
I do too have likes and dislikes. There are certain foods that I like more than others, you know.
お前の基準は有益か無益かだけだろ。
You only work on the standard of whether something is useful or not.
野生動物にとって味覚は十分な栄養値があるかないかを測るセンサーでしかない。
Wild animals only taste as a sensor to measure how nutritious something is.
栄養値を度外視して食事をとるのは人間だけだ。
Only humans eat for reasons other than pure nutritional value.
自分の体に合っているからその食材を好むではないんだよ。人は楽しいか楽しくないかで食事をとる。好きなものが甘く見えるのはそのためだ。
Some of the food we don't like doesn't help. Some of the food we like doesn't help sustain us. We eat what we eat because we enjoy it. That's also why things we like look sweet.
甘いもの、
That word.
好きなものって甘く
There's
見
that
え
word
るの？
again. Sweet. Things you like look sweet?
ものの例えだが苦くは見えないだろ。まあ人によってはそれもありだが。
I mean, that was just an example. But we don't look at something we like and think it's better. Well, maybe some people do. I don't know.
そのあたりはあれだな。性癖の問題だ。
It all depends on what you're into, I guess.
卵が先か鶏が先かの話さ。好きだから甘いのか、甘いから好きなのか、とね。
It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is something sweet because we like it, or do we like it because it's sweet?
でも僕、トウコさんは甘く見えないけど。
Yeah, but I don't think you look sweet. There's like a double meaning to that. It's like, I don't think you look sweet. You look horrid.
そりゃそうだろう。そもそもお前はまだ生きていないからな。
Of course not. You're not actually alive.
あるだけのものと生きていることはまた別の話だ。
You exist, but you're not actually alive. There's a difference.
皮肉な話だがね。その違いを知ったとき、お前は無敵ではなくなるよ、ベオ。
It's kind of ironic, actually. If you were to ever figure that difference out, you wouldn't be invincible anymore. Hey. Foreshadowing when he fights Sojiro.
さあ、夕食だ。今日も大勝ちしたからな。霜降りのいいところを買ってきたぞ。
Anyway, it's time for dinner. I won a lot today, so I brought some nice marbled beef for you. I said beet. Nice marbled beef for you. Toko watched the classroom back in her usual mood. Bale lingered in the hallway, looking dejected. You're not actually alive. Those words pierced right through Bale's heart. But he didn't quite know. What the hell? He didn't quite know why yet. Damn. 3 weeks would pass before he got a hint of why oh fuck. 3 weeks would pass before he got a hint of why that was the case. Lou Beowulf was perfect, and yet he would lose at the hands of a particularly imperfect creature. Yeah, that's so true. And we're still going. Well, I think this is where we're going to end it here because we're already at an hour. I didn't think this was going to be a long one too, so damn. So there we go. We're going to save right here. We'll finish this up hopefully next time, you know. And that's what I like about these smaller or like these side stories. Like, they're long, you know, so I think that gives a lot more meat to the game, in my opinion. Because I'm not saying that the main game is like relatively short. It's actually relatively long. It's just that, you know, you kind of forget that, like, oh shit, I'm reading a side story. I don't have to read. This is optional, you know. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be it for today's video, man. I will see you guys next time with some more Witch on the Holy Night. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.